Is a frog, a plastic frog or an artificial frog or rubber frog, is it good in anything other than scum and moss and stuff growing on top of the water? Good morning, guys and girls. Oh boy, back in Proverbs. And this is one of those deals. This is one of those things like I talk about. Pride leads only to shame. It is wise to be humble. So I guess you can kind of turn that around a lot of different ways, but probably means that if you're not humble, it's pretty stupid. That's the way a country boy would say it right there. Pride leads only to shame. It is wise to be humble. Tournament bass fishing will humble any fisherman. The very nature of the game invites failure. That's right. Talk about baseball being a poor percentage game. Get 3 hits for every 10 times at bat. You make the Hall of Fame. Think about that. 300 lifetime average. Pretty much everybody that's done that's in the Hall of Fame. How many casts does it take to catch 3 bass? I'd take 3 out of 100 every single day I go fishing and feel like that I've really had a good day. You know, tournament fishing, it's one of those games that pride is so easy to come by because, you know, it's so hard. It's such a hard game. Even those of the tournament guys that have got so good as the top level guys are nowadays, and I've competed in tournaments for 54 years. First year I haven't since I was a senior in college. And it's so easy to see that pride well up in people when they have great days. It's so difficult to go out there in a field of 150 or 200 or 300 fishermen, and we fished a lot of BASS tournaments with 300 plus fishermen years ago. And you know, it was both in the front of the boat, battling for every cast. I mean, it was amazingly difficult. The tournaments at the top levels are a lot smaller fields nowadays. You know, the BASS is only 75 or 80 guys. Major League Fishing is 80. The really tough one, of course, FLW has 150 or so. And this year they even let a lot of the Major League Fishing guys, I guess all the Major League Fishing guys go over there and fish. So they must be 230 people or so in a tournament. So if you go out there and beat everybody one single day, it's very easy for your head to go, whoa, especially if you did something really cool. I mean, if you made a decision or you did something and you figured something out and that something out allowed you to catch a big giant string of fish and all of a sudden you're beating everybody. And you could tell a lot of times when that happens because when a guy gets up on stage and weighs those 5 fish in, and inevitably the guy announcing will say, "Can you do it again tomorrow?" And the guys that their head's not too swelled up, they'll say, "Man, I don't know. I'm pretty fortunate to catch these today. 11 o'clock, I never had a fish. I made a little decision over there, got lucky." And my buddy Scott Canterbury that won the BASS Angler of the Year last year, he says, "Well, I run into the fish," you know, like it was just a big pure accident. And of course, you don't win an Angler of the Year title by accident. And he's just an exceptional fisherman. He said, "I just run into a bunch of them out on the outer edge of cypress trees, and they just happened to be on the very furthest tree out, or the second or third tree in was the only place they were." And once I kind of figured that out, I just went and fished the second and third tree every time and caught a 30-pound stringer. And he said, "I just run into them." But so he hasn't built his head up in pride, let that pride take a hold of him. And because he knows he goes out there the next day, if that pattern's not working, he might not catch any at all. But with so many of them will say, "Oh yeah, no problem at all." Thinking about cypress trees, I think about Santee Cooper, where I won my first BASS tournament clear back in 1976, and I was in third place that day, but I caught like 25 pounds. I had a 25-pound limit, was in third place. The leader had 34 pounds, and he came by me, and he ended up being a great friend, but I think it was the first tournament he ever fished, and he guided on the lake, and a great guy. But he asked me if he thought I could do any better tomorrow. I said, "I just tickled to death with what I've done today, and I'm happy." And he said, "Well, I had kind of an off day today." And he caught 34 pounds. He's leading the tournament, 300 people in the tournament, and he's beat everybody. And I just told him, I said, "Whoa," I said, "if you're fixing to do better than that tomorrow, don't worry about this boy. I'm not beating you." As it turned out, you know, he didn't catch 34 pounds again. and I ended up still catching that 20-plus stringer every day and ended up winning the tournament. And but it's so easy to let that grab you. And I'm not knocking Doug, because he's a great guy, became a great friend. He's a great fisherman. I mean, he really believed he kind of had an off day there with 34 pounds. That's how good he is. But that pride sort of got you. And when we hear people up there say something like, "Oh yeah, I can do it again, no problem. I had those by 7:30 this morning. I'll be done that good by 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning." That's almost a kiss of death. And I guess that Solomon didn't write that in Proverbs, but he sure could have. If you brag about today's catch, you won't catch them tomorrow. Okay, all right. Let's go down here. Let me finish this thing up. I got carried away there, guys and girls. Sorry about that. We often equate humility with weakness and failure, but God says humility is a good thing. It's a great thing, and it produces wisdom. You want to get wiser? Well, old age produces wisdom. Getting older produces wisdom. But if you're young and you want to get wiser, humility. Humility produces wisdom. How can that be? I believe humility changes our perspective. It forces us to look at and rely more on God and less on ourselves. Do you hear that? It changes our perspective. Instead of relying on me, I'm going to rely on thee. That's it. That's it. So many times, I simply reach the end of the day and I've run out of solutions. But God has always been faithful to see me through. How many times is God waiting to help, but we're relying on me? And we simply reach the end of the day and we've run out of solutions. We ought to learn a lesson right there. Here's our tip for today. Try a scum frog beneath trees and around hard cover during the summertime. A scum frog is one that, all different kinds, that we fish around on a plastic frog or rubber frog. We fish on top of vegetation, on top of the water. Can I tell you, it is a dynamite lure around hard cover. I mean, a dynamite lure around hard cover. Dean Rojas, I think, if I remember, I've got it right. Dean Rojas. Ricky Clunn told me one time, he said, every time I seen Dean Rojas on television, he's taking that frog, he calls ribbit, and it's not a ribbit frog, but he calls it Kermit, I think. He said he's taking that frog out of the 5-pound bass's mouth every time I see him on television. And that's pretty true. But he fishes that frog no matter what. So during the summertime, the time that we're in right now, when you've got a frog tied on, you should have one tied on just about every day, no matter where you are. You don't have to just wait and throw it around the type water with vegetation up on top. Throw it around logs, throw it around stumps, throw it underneath bushes. Fish the hard cover with a frog. You will be blown away, literally blown away by those strikes. Guys and girls, have you a great one out there today. Great time, summertime. I love you.